Am I the a-hole for serving divorce papers to my husband after he and his mom treated me like their maid for 2 years? I, 33F, married my husband, 35M, 5 years ago. In the beginning, things were okay. Not magical or romantic like in movies, but functional. We were both working stable jobs and decided to buy a house together, splitting the costs equally. We agreed to keep things fair and 50-50. At least, that's what I thought we were doing. But soon after marriage, I noticed the imbalance starting to creep in. Despite both of us having full-time jobs, I was the only one doing the housework, cooking, cleaning, laundry, vacuuming, you name it. He never lifted a finger. I justified it in my head at first. I come from a culture where women are expected to manage the household, even if they're working. I grew up watching my mother and grandmother do exactly that, without complaint. So part of me felt like I was just doing what I'd always known. In fact, I even felt grateful. Grateful that I was allowed to work, to earn my own money, to buy things that made me happy. I had friends with PhDs stuck at home because their husbands wouldn't let them pursue careers. So yeah, I thought I had it better. Or, at least, manageable. But then things took a drastic turn. About 3 years into our marriage, my husband got laid off. I was sympathetic, of course. I supported him emotionally, reassured him it wasn't the end of the world, and even took over all the financial responsibilities. He kept promising it was just temporary, that he'd bounce back and make it up to me. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. But temporary turned into months. Then a year. Then almost 2 years of absolutely nothing. No job applications. No freelance gigs. No training, no certifications, no effort. He spent his days sleeping until noon, eating the food I made, lounging on the couch, and scrolling endlessly on his phone or watching TV. When I voiced concerns, he brushed me off, saying, "Once I get a job, you won't have to lift a finger again. You'll keep your whole salary. You'll see." As if I were supposed to be grateful for this imaginary future where he'd become useful again. What stung the most was that he started saying things like, "A woman's place is in the kitchen, but you're a modern girl, so I let you work too. Let me." As if my independence was a gift he bestowed upon me. He truly believed he was progressive because he let me keep working, even though he expected me to do all the housework on top of it. And then, as if things weren't bad enough, his mother suddenly moved in. No warning, no discussion. One weekend, she just showed up with her suitcase, and he said, "She's not doing well emotionally. It'll just be for a few days." 6 months later, she was still very much there. She didn't lift a finger either. Didn't offer to help with meals or laundry, not even her own. She expected freshly made food every day, 3 times a day, and had the audacity to criticize my cooking. Too much salt, too little oil. In our day, women woke up at 5 to make proper breakfasts. She called me too modern for working a job and told me I was lucky to have a husband who was so understanding. And my husband? He either stayed silent or agreed with her. He never once defended me. I was exhausted. Working all day and coming home to a pile of chores, while being guilt-tripped and judged by a woman who treated me like a live-in servant. My health started to deteriorate. I wasn't sleeping. I lost weight. I was anxious all the time. But I still pushed through, until one night broke me completely. I was in my room finishing an important work report, already late into the night. Suddenly, there was banging on the door. My husband and Emile stood outside, complaining they were hungry and wanted dinner. I told them I hadn't cooked yet, because I was working. And do you know what he said? "Well, you're the one with the job. We're relying on you right now. You should be grateful we trust you with that responsibility." That was it. Something inside me snapped. The very next morning, I applied for 2 weeks of unpaid leave from work. I didn't tell either of them. I stayed home pretending like I'd lost my job, just to see how they'd react. I cooked, watered the plants, knitted in silence. My husband said nothing. But after 2 days, his mother asked, "Why haven't you gone to work?" I smiled and told her. I resigned. Panic. That's the only way I can describe what followed. Suddenly, his mother was concerned about what people would say. My husband begged me to go back to work, just until things got better. I calmly told them I couldn't handle the pressure anymore, and since I wasn't earning, I wouldn't be buying groceries either. They'd have to figure it out. In 3 days, the house turned into a disaster zone. Dishes piled up. Floors filthy. Meals were either skipped or barely edible. They stopped being picky real fast. His mom called me passive-aggressive. I said, "No, I'm just modeling your lifestyle." What they didn't know was that behind the scenes, I had quietly sold my gold jewelry, hired a lawyer, and began divorce proceedings. I served the papers soon after, and at the same time, bought out his 50% of the house. I had kept meticulous records of the mortgage payments I'd made alone for over a year. The court sided with me. He had no job, no claim, no choice but to accept the money. His mother wept, called me ungrateful, accused me of breaking the family. Divorce is still taboo where I live, especially for women. She told me I'd ruined my life. I told her that the only family I was interested in was one that didn't treat me like a damn appliance. Now, it's been a few weeks. I went back to work. I live alone. My home is quiet, clean, and peaceful. I cook for myself, and the food tastes better. I sleep through the night. I'm healing. But the whispers in my community have begun. People call me names. Say I didn't support my husband in his time of need. That I'm selfish. That I'll never find another man. A divorcee woman here is often treated like she carries a scarlet letter, an outcast. But none of those people were there when I was collapsing from exhaustion. None of them helped me when I cried silently over dirty dishes at midnight. And still, I wonder, am I the a-hole for leaving? For choosing peace over being treated like a servant? For refusing to waste another day hoping he'd change? Because even if I'm scared of what's to come, I don't regret it. Not for 1 second.